guys, it's Erica. Right now I'm at Lowe's and this video is pretty much for beginners. So I'm gonna be showing you every single houseplant and showing you each of their names and their prices, because I know that sometimes the labels don't have the exact name of the plant on it. So it's pretty much just to help you guys get to know what kind of plants there are at Lowe's. So yeah, let's get started. Okay guys, so this is the indoor plant section at my local Lowe's. So down here you can see this is a snake plant, Sansevieria. It's called a Sansevieria, but it's commonly known as a snake plant. And this one is $14.98. So you guys probably would know that snake plants are one of the toughest plants there are, and they're really good for beginners or someone who just doesn't have a lot of time to take care of their plants. And then the same goes for this plant, which is a ZZ plant, and its scientific name is Zamicula zamifolia. I don't know if I'm actually pronouncing that right. So that's why it has a little tough as nails little thing there. Let's see how much this is. $14.98. ZZ plants are usually pretty expensive, so it seems right. This one here is $12.98 though. And then here is another kind of snake plant, another kind of Sansevieria. So these plants here are just the easy ones, easy to take care of. Up here is a money tree, and I'll put the scientific name down for it. This one is $14.98. Also pretty easy to take care of, just water when dry. Let's see. Back here is a Thanksgiving cactus, and right now it's November, so they have a lot of the holiday cacti coming out. And I think if you're a beginner, this plant is kind of more difficult to take care of than the ZZ plant or the snake plant. It does require more attention and stuff, but this one is $10.98. They have beautiful blooms during Thanksgiving time, during the holidays, which is pretty much why they're called a holiday cactus. Up here, this is a Philodendron Brazil. You can see these leaves here, they have really lime green in the center. Let's see if I can show it better. So that's how you know it's a Brazil philodendron. And this one is $16.98, probably because it's in such a big... Okay, let me take this one down carefully. So this is a vining plant, a trailing plant, and I would highly recommend this plant for beginners because it's not really super common. Like your local Lowe's or Home Depot won't have it all of the time, and it's a really pretty plant. So I think this is a really good plant for beginners. It's similar care to pothos and stuff. You literally just water it when the soil is really dry or droopy, and they're very hardy, so if you forget to water it, it can bounce right back. It doesn't need the most light, so I think that's a really good plant. This here is, I think this is English Ivy Hedera helix, and I would not recommend ivy for beginners, ivy or ferns, because they tend to be very fussy. So ivy kind of seems like it would be an easy plant to care for, but it's not. They're not that easy to take care of. I wouldn't even purchase ivy myself. And then here's another Brazil. So this one has even more lime than the other one, but you can see it's really, really pretty. Oh, there's one over here too. This one has completely lime green leaves. And then this is a spider plant. This one is $16.98, and spider plants are also a really good plant for beginners. They have these little babies that come out, and you can just cut them off and plant them and you'll have another plant. This plant is very drought resistant, so if you do forget to water this one too, you can just water it. You can tell when it needs watering too because the color gets a really light green and it gets kind of droopy, and then when it has kind of dark in the center here, that's when you know you overwatered it. I would say it's a lot better to underwater your plants than to overwater them, just so you know. Here's another kind of spider plant. So these are different, but they look very similar. They're both spider plants though, so whichever one you like the aesthetic of more is the one that you could buy. And down here are the peace lilies. This one is $12.98, Spatifilum, but this one has little flowers and they're really pretty, but they are very toxic for pets. So if you have a cat or something or a dog, this one is very toxic. The pollen that falls off of these flowers is not good for pets, so just be careful of that. This plant does like more water than the other plants. If it needs to be watered, it will get very droopy. This plant is super dramatic. If you don't water it one day when it wants to be watered, it will completely droop and look like it died, but it's actually perfectly fine. You just gotta water it and it'll perk right up. So that's a big bonus of this plant. You really know when it needs water. These will eventually die and fall off. You can just cut them off whenever they die. And then if your plant's happy, it'll grow some new ones again. They bloom all year round. And they do usually tend to, I see these on clearance because they are so dramatic that they get really droopy, and then instead of, I guess, watering it, they put it in clearance. They really just need water, but they don't look too nice when they're droopy. Here's another ivy. So you can see here that this one is dying. This is a Maidenhair Fern, and that is a complete no-go for beginners. This one is such a difficult plant. This one is dead, and it was $12.98. So this is how it looks when it's healthy. They're absolutely gorgeous when they're healthy, but they're super fussy. I would not recommend them for a beginner, but of course you can try it out. Oh, here's an example of a, so this is how they will look. And this plant is fine, it just needs water. The soil is really dry right now, so this is how you know it needs to be watered. And then this is a Dracaena, and Dracaenas are very hardy plants. For a Dracaena, I would recommend that you water it with filtered water. Usually if you use tap water, they get crispy tips like this. They'll also get droopy if they need to be watered. There's a fern right there. I would not recommend getting this if you're a beginner. This one is $4.98, and this is a kind of asparagus fern. They're really cute and fluffy. I think this one has spikes, so be careful of that too. And this is a golden pothos. This is the plant that I would 100% recommend for beginners. If I could tell a beginner to get a plant, it would be this one, because they grow really fast. They don't need a like highlight situation. If you give them low light, they'll keep growing. And yeah, you water them whenever it's droopy. It's not as easy to kill as other plants here. So I would really recommend this one. This one is like, and this is like the perfect size too. It's $4.98. There's also different versions of this pothos. So this is a golden one. There's also, my favorite one is a jade pothos, and I'll see if I find any around here later on. Okay, and right here, this is a zebra plant. It doesn't say on here. This is $4.98, and they have some really beautiful blooms. And then here are some more Dracaenas. They can have highlight. The Dracaenas could have highlight situations. I know that there are some Dracaenas that can be out in full sun. And right here is a little palm. This is a pretty easy plant to care for also. They're really pretty when you have the big ones. I think this is just so cute. Island vibes. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so this is $4.98. And oh, they have the plant care on here, but whenever it says like moist soil, keep the soil moist, I don't agree with that. I think you should let most plants dry out before watering them again. Usually when they say keep the soil moist, people will water their plant too often and it ends up. Here is a Dieffenbachia. This one is not looking too hot. It definitely needs to be watered. This is just a little baby one. This one can have low light situations. I think they do need more water than most. Oh, okay, so this is a spider plant that needs water, and you can, let me carry it over here. You can tell the difference because this one is really pale. Like this one is a lot darker in color than this one. So that's usually how I tell that they need water. Okay, over here, this is a Chinese evergreen, an Aglaonema. This is a really beautiful pink colored one. These are very hardy plants to care for. Pretty similar to a ZZ plant and a snake plant. They can have highlight situation, low light situation. And then up here, this is a Cissus discolor, and a Cissus is pretty similar to a grape, like a grapevine. And this plant is so pretty. I think their leaves look like dragon scales, but they're very they're very fussy plants. I don't think this plant is an easy one to care for. They constantly need to be watered. So this is one of the plants that I would say it's not very easy to overwater them unless you're watering them every single day. So that one's kind of a difficult plant. You have to find like the perfect environment for it in your home. And it does like higher light situations. This is a Pothos Enjoy. So this is a Pothos like this one's a really cool one. Like the golden Pothos that I showed you. Same care, just water when dry. They don't need super bright lights. You can have them in a low light environment and they will do well. There's some more golden Pothos. And then these here, these are both crotons. So crotons you can usually tell because they have this beautiful kind of like autumn vibes, and they pretty much just need to be watered when dry, and they can be in highlight situations. There's so many varieties of crotons. Like you can see this one has kind of like thin curly leaves. This one has really like broad leaves, and you can just choose the one that you like. They both need the same care. So there's some more crotons down here. This is also how you know they need to be watered. A lot of plants get droopy when they need to be watered. So, and then here is, I think this is a bamboo. And these are really easy to care for. You can honestly just keep them in a little like vase of water and they'll grow like that. They don't need the brightest light either. Okay, so here we're getting into the bromeliads, and they are the ones that kind of have like a spiky flower on top, like this. This one is $7.98. I think they're really pretty. So those are bromeliads, and then this is an Anthurium. I think Anthuriums are also really kind of difficult to take care of. Oh my gosh, I almost dropped it. This one is $6.98. They have these really pretty flowers and these really pretty shaped leaves, but I don't recommend that one for a beginner. And then these are Kalanchoe flowers. I think they're really pretty. And then here there are some more Thanksgiving cactus. More Anthuriums. And this is a Maranta lucerna. It's also commonly known as a rabbit. I call it a rabbit foot, or it's rabbit track. Maranta. And this one is variegated, so you can see it has these really pretty leaves. The variegated versions have been popping up a lot, and they're super pretty. This one is $6.98, and I would say this is also a kind of difficult plant to care for. They need a lot of humidity and a lot of water, but also you don't want to overwater them. So I recommend this plant if you have a humidifier, because you can see right here these leaves are getting crispy. The leaves get crispy if they don't have a humidifier. These ones also do prefer having filtered water, so you can't, I wouldn't recommend just giving these plants water from the tap. I guess you could keep it in your bathroom. When I didn't have a humidifier, I would keep it in my bathroom and just not turn on the fan when I take a shower, so it would kind of be like a little humid room there. There's a really big ZZ plant here. This one's like $40. $39.98. People really like putting this in their office to add some greenery, because the fluorescent lights of the office are good for keeping this plant alive. You can also put in a golden pothos in your office. That one would survive too. Okay, there's some more crotons here, some bigger ones. Some palms. This is a big Dracaena, so this is one that you can put outside when they get bigger. Another palm here, and then these are ficus trees, and oh, this one's dropping leaves. They drop leaves in the fall. This is a fiddly fig, and this is one of those plants that are really popular. They're very pretty. They're called a fiddly fig because their leaves look like fiddles. And this one here is $49.98. If you have the space and a lot of bright light, this is a really nice plant, but I would recommend, if you want to try this plant, to get a smaller one, because the big ones are very pricey, and if you kill it, then that's kind of a lot of money down the drain. It says this is a black bean plant. Ooh. I actually have not seen this plant before. This is cool. It says it's a black bean plant. Okay, and then here is a Calathea. So Calatheas and Marantas are in the same family, called Marantaceae, and that family of plants does like to have humid environments. Here's some more Dracaenas, croton. This one is so pretty. This one looks like lightning. How much is this one? $16.98. That is so pretty. Or like a bumblebee. Okay, here are rubber trees. These are Ficus elasticas. Rubber is made from the sap of these trees, so the sap of this is an irritant, so if you get it on your bare skin, you want to wash that off right away. This plant does like highlight situations. They grow pretty slowly, but they're easy to care for. You just water it when it's dry, like a lot of the plants here, but you do need to have a kind of higher light situation for them to thrive and be happy. So if you don't have enough light, I wouldn't recommend getting this plant And you also kind of need space because this is a tree. It's gonna grow into a tree, so just be aware of that. Here's some more Dieffenbachias. This is a peace lily. Oh, it does have, okay, this is the powder that I'm talking about that is toxic, so just be careful of that. Here's another Calathea. Calatheas will also kind of curl up their leaves like this when they need water. They're trying to preserve the moisture that they have on them when they curl up like that. Some more palms down here, a fern, snake plants, Dracaenas. Okay, and then behind me right now are the soils. So if you're going to buy soil from Lowe's, they do only have Miracle-Gro. So what I would recommend to do is buy this cacti potting mix, the cactus palm and citrus potting mix, and then add a bunch of perlite to it, because Miracle-Gro is fine to use, but what I found is that Miracle-Gro is very water retentive and it will hold onto water for longer than the plant would like, so the soil stays kind of soggy and it will cause the roots of the plant to rot. So that's why I would recommend getting this cactus palm and citrus potting mix, because it's supposed to be a fast draining formula, and adding perlite, because perlite improves drainage, so it will help there's not going to be as much soil to retain the water. This is going to help the soil dry up quicker. It's going to aerate the soil. So that's why I would recommend. There is an indoor potting mix here, but I found that this one is very, very water retentive. You can also get the potting mix and then add perlite as well, but I recommend the cactus and citrus potting mix. Okay, and then back to the plants. Down here, they usually have little air plants like this, Tillandsias, in little glasses like this, or they'll have them glued to a log or something. And I think that air plants are good for beginners. All you need to do is kind of spray them every 2 to 3 days, mist them with water, and then they kind of get scrunched up together when they're dry. So that's when you can soak them in a tub of water for about like an hour and then remove them. They are naturally found growing like in trees and stuff off the ground, so they kind of do like to have a lot of airflow, and they like kind of more light, brighter light. I don't think they would do as well in low light situation, but they also kind of die slowly, so if you have them in a low light situation, I don't think you would even be able to tell that they were dying. This is also a Calathea, so these are both Calatheas. There's fern here. Here is a Monstera deliciosa, and this is a plant that I would highly recommend for a beginner, and I would also recommend that if you do buy one, to buy one from Home Depot or Lowe's, because they are a lot cheaper at these stores than they would be at a nursery specifically for houseplants. They actually get very pricey at those stores. Like this one is $29.98. So this giant plant is $30, and you just water them when kind of the top part of the soil dries out. I would recommend, if you have a really big tub like this, to get a moisture meter, and when it reads like on the almost to dry, then to water it. But if you do forget to water it, it can wait a little bit. It's not gonna die on you, So I would really recommend this plant for beginners. It's a really gorgeous plant and it grows pretty quickly. The more light you give it, the better. It will grow faster, it will be stronger than if you have it in kind of moderate amounts of light. So I recommend giving it a lot of light for it to grow big and strong. These are succulents, and I would recommend to never buy these. They are spray painted to be these cool colors, just in case you are not aware. Don't buy these. The plants have these little holes on them that kind of help them breathe and stuff, so this is blocking those up. This is not good for the plant. Don't buy those. So when you are choosing out plants, make sure to look at all of the options and kind of pick out the healthiest one, because it's going to be easier for you to care for it, and it's kind of easier to keep a plant healthy than to revive a plant, especially if you're new to plants and stuff and you might not know what the problem is. So that's just something that I would recommend. With that being said, there are clearance plants, and I wouldn't recommend to get a plant that completely looks like it's dying, but like I was saying about peace lilies, when they need water, they look really sad, and all you have to do is water them and perk them back up, and they're usually found on clearance. So I think a peace lily would be okay to buy, but if a plant is really not looking well, then I would not recommend you buy it. Even if it's just a few dollars cheaper, I would say just spend the money on a healthy plant. And you don't know what's wrong with these. They might have bugs that can spread to your other plants, and until you're familiar with kind of plants and stuff, I would stay away from clearance plants. Also, they do have moisture meters here, so this, depending on how much you want to get into plants, you can use this. It measures moisture, light, and pH. I only use mine for moisture. You just stick it in the dirt. I recommend sticking it in a bunch of like different depths into the pot to just see what the all-around moisture level is, and usually water when it gets to 3, which is in the dry section. And then they also have the pots over here. So these are ceramic pots, or they're glazed, and when you use pots like this, it kind of retains moisture in. So if you're scared of overwatering your plants, I would recommend to get a terracotta pot, which are outside, and I can show you. But these are good for plants that need more water. So maybe for like a peace lily, you would keep it in here, because if you had it in a terracotta pot, you would be needing to water it very often. This is my favorite pot they have. I think I have one in every size. And then I also forgot this plant here. So this is an African mask, and it's an alocasia. I really love alocasias. This one is $12.99. They like bright light and keep them in temperatures that are warmer than 60 degrees. They will start to drop leaves and go dormant if you keep them out in a really cold area. So keep them in bright light, and not direct though, bright indirect sunlight and higher temperatures. Yeah. There's also some monkey cups up here called nepenthes, and these are the plants that catch little insects inside their pods, which is cute. These like high humidity, and you should not let their soil dry out. I think they're pretty simple to care for. They like brighter light though, so if you have low light, this is not the plant for you. They're really cool. They catch fungus gnats too sometimes. Mine is catching fungus gnats. And these are $19.98, which is pretty much the common price for this plant, $20. They're recently popping up, so they're like $20 in nurseries, and here I would recommend getting a healthier one. Okay, I also wasn't really planning to go into succulents, but there's a string of pearls here and a string of bananas. And these are pretty common houseplants and they're pretty easy to care for. So for the string of pearls, you definitely do not want to overwater it, and if you give it too much bright light, then the pearls will kind of burn off. So make sure they're not in direct light, but they do like brighter light. You can tell when they need to be watered when the pearls kind of start shriveling up. So before that, you do not want to overwater them. This is a succulent, so it can retain a lot of moisture and it doesn't need to be watered too often. And the same goes for the string of bananas. They're both really cute plants and they're $10.98. And they have little blooms like this. You can cut them off if you don't like them. Yeah. Here are the terracotta pots. These are going to soak up some of the water that you give your plant. So if you tend to overwater or if you're scared to overwater your plant, I would recommend getting these. When you do buy a new plant, I would not recommend to repot it right away though. So when you get your plant, you can get a pot. You can get a pot that your nursery pot fits inside, and that's how you know it will be the perfect size for your plant. And you can wait like a week before you repot it, and when you do repot it, you can keep some of that old soil with the plant, and it will help the plant get used to the new soil that you're giving it. Okay guys, so that is it for today's video. I kind of went over just like the general care for the plants and stuff, the pots you might need, moisture meter, and this is not an in-depth care guide at all. It's just kind of a quick breeze through, even though I think this video is going to turn out to be really long. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to my channel for more plant content, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!